Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Wasonko. So I'm here with my co-host from yesterday, as well as our guest. And good morning.
Good morning.
Had a good Monday?
I had a good Monday, and today I'm being Ibrahim Abalde once again.
Yeah, once again,
So
right?
I don't
the VJ.
forget who you think I am. I'm
Yeah.
Ibrahim Abalde.
We've actually missed him so much on the program, but he's a bit sick. But we're just allowing him to recover. You are Adid Rami. Yes.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
So we're just going to continue from where we stopped yesterday. Interesting conversations. Yesterday I got positive feedback about, the discussions, because both of the discussions were like kind of controversial, if you may put it, and timely as well. The issue of the deportation and EU support, as Mr. Kapp put it, as well as the issue of the FGM. So it was a good one.
The former VP who was on the show, as I escorted her to the gate, she said she really enjoyed that part of the show
discussion.
So she was sitting in the studio as we had that discussion. So she said she really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So
what makes it interesting is the African people are still trapped in a situation that we are trying to get ourselves out of.
Right.
So there is one side of the coin which is about mismanagement of our resources, which we attribute to poor leadership across the board in Africa.
Right.
The other also is the financial institutions that existed since independence, how they have disadvantaged Africa. If you look at the composition of the institutions internationally, G20s, G7s, these are places where they go and discuss about major economic policies, programs. Africa is absent. Even the EU have G20 presence in Africa. They could have added 21 for Africa to be part of it. So there are a lot of things, and the institutions that were created post-independence, Paris Club, London Club, Bretton Woods, all these things have been structured in such a way, and people like Kwame Nkrumah did make a big fuss about it at the time to say that we have to come together, have a bank, African bank, that we can use to source for developmental issues. So there are issues internally that we have to address, yes, in terms of institutions, but the Western institutions as well have disadvantaged the South part of the globe.
Actually, for me, I'm happy you talked about that internally. There are certain things that we need to adjust. Because, for example, at the level of the United Nations Security Council,
I was going to come to that, but
there were like plans to have the reforms to give, Africa a seat. We couldn't even amicably come together and select a particular country, African country, to say, oh, this is the country that we want to represent, because then each of them were coming with their interest. We could not.
The AU can represent us. We can select from the.
But also, I think
it doesn't have to be a country.
Well, no. I mean,
but obviously, with the United Nations, it has to be a country.
But I think with
a
the
single
Africa,
country.
No, I mean with the Africa, I think it's a bit unfair, because Africa nations had decided amongst themselves that there would be a rotating seat. If they did give Africa a seat, it would be rotated, so it wouldn't just
but
be the same
reason
country
for that is
each
that
time.
non-member countries of the Security Council can rotate, but permanent members never rotated. So then the rules that were there, then if an African country comes, has to also follow that, unless for the non-member, the non-permanent members, that can be rotated.
But
this thing is not carved
they
in
can
stone.
restructure
It's not carved in stone, I agree.
If
Exactly, that's my
African
point.
countries were serious, and we said we wanted this, we just say, you know what, next General Assembly, we're not even going to turn up. But of course, they want to go there and do shopping.
They want to go shopping,
which is just
a
couple of weeks away, by the way. So they do turn up. But we should say, well, we're not coming.
Yeah, they
hold it without us, because if you're going to exclude us from one of the most crucial aspects of it, the Security Council, then
And you know what? Last time you talked about how then when an African leader at the council, at the assembly wants to deliver a statement, then it's completely empty.
It's empty.
The people aren't even there to listen.
I loved it when last year the guy from Botswana, he got up and basically he said, look, Namibia, he said, look, we are one of the richest countries in terms of diamonds and gold and so on, but we want greater investment. Come to my country, come and invest. I've come here with a team that none of the others said that. You have your 7 minutes in the spotlight, use it, and sell your country. But they just go there, they make some really boring speech and that nobody's listening to anyway. No, sell your country.
How come you didn't go to the COP for shopping this year? I was
No, the
expecting
COP
you
is
in
in
Nairobi.
November.
It's in November.
What's happening in
Oh,
Kenya?
that's the African Climate Summit.
Change.
I guess,
okay.
obviously.
They didn't invite her.
Yeah. I wasn't there. But the COP is in November to December, obviously. So we're looking forward to being there if it's possible. But obviously, if the MD is pushing things.
For shopping.
No, not for shopping. I report on
that's
a daily.
exactly what you accuse of the African
Oh, absolutely
heads.
not.
That one I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Well, I went to the COP26 as well, and then the ministry will tell you how much journalists were even working harder than other delegates who were supposed to be there to negotiate. We reported every single day. And they even, acknowledged the fact that that particular COP was the most well reported out of any, because GRTS were it was a whole range of.
I've attended a General Assembly, so I've seen these presidents firsthand. It's not second-hand information. And they just attend party after party, reception after reception, and then they get up and they have their 7 minutes when they make their speech.
Yeah, and then
basically
nobody's
that's
there.
So this is not second-hand information. I've been there.
So today we're just gonna head right on to do current affairs review. Because obviously we have a very, very packed program.
Indeed.
So we were just, before we came on set, we were just talking about this bill that has to do with the remuneration of
the
judges.
judiciary.
Just judiciary in general. And then there are two sides of the.
Is it the entire judiciary, or it's just?
It's the judges, actually.
It's mainly the judges.
Yes, mainly. So, some are talking about the issue of, transparency and independence. And then the other people are talking about, what about the police? What about the teachers? What about other sectors where they're doing extremely well? And there's a tendency for those people to be corrupt as well. And then the remuneration is really bad.
I mean, with the judiciary, it's, they use this phrase, we want to attract the brightest and the best. Now, if Sierra Leone, Ghana, or Nigeria are going to offer certain remunerations and they're going to draw away our people, how do you get them to stay? If somebody says, I'm a policeman, I deserve, well, go and be a policeman in Nigeria and see how, But no,
that's
judges, judges, you want them, because they've gone through a certain level of training and so on. And if you don't, what you end up with are the people who will come here just because they probably can't get,
what they want in their own countries.
In their own countries. But what you want the best, and you want Gambians. We have Gambians who should be here, and yet they're in other countries because those other countries pay better. So how do you get people to stay? You increase the pay, you give them better pensions, everything, better conditions of service, essentially. That's what it's about. Look, for any of these, you could make an argument that they shouldn't get it or somebody else should get it. Because people always say, what about teachers? What about doctors? What about nurses? You could go on about what abouts forever, but.
But for the judiciary, I'll find out about this just to know the ratio of people who are not maybe practicing in other countries. I'm sure that maybe if they don't have the accurate data, there will be information around it. Like how often do we have them?
I mean, there are Gambians who are very, very eminent lawyers who by rights should be here and should be judges, but they're not because they're earning 10 times what they could earn somewhere else. So, you'll always get that. But, how do you... for me, I think particularly we want to attract Gambians.
Yeah, I get that part.
Who, as I said, at the moment, you see them in America, you see them in England, you see them in Sweden, Denmark. Very, very good, very eminent.
Yeah, and also to many of these individuals, they would rather not be judges in Gambia than to take another route whereby they study law and they have their LLM and everything, but they would rather maybe get into civil society or something else where they will get more money than going to court. All of those things are there probably because of the salaries and all that. But in Gambia, it's not just that area as well, Mr. Ka. We take a look at the medical field, the doctors as well. They always talk about the fact that there is no need for them to stay back because of the poor allowances and salaries that they get. So majority of them will go to UK, do the exams, go to US, and do that exams that they get to do to be able to practice there rather than staying here.
Not only that, those countries actively come and recruit from here,
Africa?
Nurses and doctors, because they can offer them so much more.
Well, it's like what Ade said, you can argue for any profession for that matter in terms of good remuneration. But in this instance, the most important thing is the independence of the judiciary. That has to be in any democratic society for it to function properly. Where the judiciary fails as an institution, be rest assured that dispensation of justice, the democratic situation would completely fail. And that is what we had on the Jammeh. It was not functional. And when you cannot revert to get justice in any society, that society has failed. And we cannot guarantee that if our senior judges are corruptible because of they receive meager sum or they're not getting properly paid. Yes, that can be applied to doctors as well as a profession, because we need some top-notch doctors with expertise specialists. So you have to attract that category. But in this particular instance, I don't have any issue. I think I will definitely support. Yes, we have to address issues of wages by and large in a very general context. You know, but this is specific. That's why it was included in the Constitution in the first instance. Where
they're now taking it out of.
They recognize that it is very important to have that. Without that as an institution, because you must remember, in any democratic setting, you have the executive, you have the legislature, and you have the judiciary. So if the judiciary is being meddled with or influenced by the executive or any other for that matter, then the whole society will fail. So that is why they ought to address that, and I think I would definitely support.
And I think over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen judgments handed down by the courts that show their independence, where the government has lost.
The Yakumba Jaita case. And
well, this is it. So, you know, they're demonstrating that independence, and 100% agree with what Malik has said. You know, for a society to feel confident and comfortable, one of the things that guarantees that is if people think that the judiciary is independent. It's like now in America, for example, because he is being dragged in front of the courts, Donald Trump is trying to taint the judiciary and say they're biased, they're only taking him to court because it's a political decision and so on. And that's quite nasty and dangerous because you're a former president. And for you to say those things, you have your millions of followers, and they will believe this.
But for him,
nobody should be above the law.
It's not the judiciary that took him to court. It is the judiciary that is going to judge over him. You know, so we must make that distinction. And if we can depend and have confidence in the judiciary that at any level you will receive justice based on the evidence, then you can go to bed, because any issue that you have with any party, you can always revert to the justice system, and you are guaranteed that there will be fairness and equity.
Yeah, but I'm happy about the fact that you said we can't even guarantee them being paid. What they're getting paid does not also guarantee their independence. For example, there are certain institutions, you know, that maybe are autonomous or semi-autonomous in the Gambia or even other countries where, for example, the Gambia Revenue Authority, you know, whereby, you know, their pay scale is just different from government because in a way they handle funds. They have to be independent. But that does not also at that level, because there are allegations, you know. So it's a bit critical. How do you also have independent bodies that look after these institutions, even though they're paid well?
Yeah, in many countries, we have a role to play, the media.
Exactly.
Because we scrutinize these people, we expose their judgments, and we hold their judgments up to you know, account. And the accountability that sort of keeps a lot of people in a lot of countries on the straight and narrow is they know that their judgments will be scrutinized. And of course, if you're a judge,
and this is a profession whose pride is integrity. It has always been. Yes, it has transformed over the years because you have a lot of unscrupulous people getting involved. But that used to be the mantra then, that a judge must be an upright person with integrity, that is incorruptible. And people used to celebrate them. If you go to UK and all these, some of these, Lord Denning, some of the top people that are being celebrated, they don't look at you for anything. They just look at the evidence before them and then act on it based on law. That's it. And that is what we expect. And that is why when Obama said Africa does not need strong men, it needs strong institutions. These are the underlying issues. Institutions such as the judiciary, the independence of the legislature and the executive. If we can have that functioning in a setting, then we will avoid a lot of these things that are happening. Then we can prosecute corruption, we can pursue a lot of things, and then it will start filtering onto the people.
Yeah,
in
so
terms of
talking about
development.
strong institutions, part of the transitional justice process was to, improve, the different state apparatus that we have, including the police. So yesterday, President Adama Barrow inaugurated 4 model police stations.
They're calling them model police.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but they look really good.
They look good.
And I said to my colleagues, let's go and see them in 6 months' time. Let's see if they've kept
You know what? You just
them.
read my mind.
Seriously, because we've been here before
Yeah.
with other places where 6 months after they're not fit to do anything,
Yeah.
but they looked really good from the images and the footage we saw. And let's just hope that they keep up those very, very high standards.
They need to, the commissioners, it's the role of the commissioners
Yeah.
in these, police stations to
Yeah.
make sure that,
Yeah.
the staff are educated and they understand that.
a conducive
Exactly.
environment to
When you
work.
maintain it, then it's for your own good.
If I come into work and it's nice and clean and
Yeah.
so on, and it looks spotless, I feel like I want to work.
Yeah.
But if it looks filthy and drab and so on, it affects your mood.
Yeah.
Naturally. So I was really impressed.
They're being referred to as being model as compared to the
To-
other
Oh,
ones.
yeah.
If you look at the abysmal state of most of these police stations and the holding cells, they
It
are not
looks
fit
really
for
bad.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the construction of this, I think, is between the partnership of the German government,
Yeah,
I think,
GIZ.
and the
Yes.
and the Gambia government.
Yeah.
I think they should look at improving more of the stations that we have. I think they have done very
In
well.
fact, they've said, the president said as much, that they want to kind of roll it out nationwide, so more and more stations. But
Yeah.
the 4 that they've done so far, top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but
look
like
really
you
good.
said, the other issue that is a matter of concern is the culture of maintenance.
Yeah.
That's the
When,
thing.
when,
Yeah.
when you don't invest
Yeah.
time, money
Yeah.
in maintenance, it degenerates and
Yeah.
then ends up, being what it was
Yeah.
before.
I
So I hope they will factor that,
They should.
put in some maintenance budget, and then be keeping
And
it
actually,
everything.
this is going back to what the Vice President said yesterday about the fact that when projects come, then, persons funding the project will like, oh, just implement
Yeah,
it
yeah, that's
without
right.
having the monitoring and evaluation aspect of
sustainability
it.
aspect of it. Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
project funders should take a look at that more often as well.
I mean, if people watch the news tonight, they'll
the
see.
funders, if
there's
they
a-
hand you something very good, then the responsibility.
But normally
falls on you.
but normally certain projects have a component.
yeah.
Because then you wouldn't want to
Oh,
give
yeah,
somebody
if it has
money.
a component, we would expect until that exhausts, that period,
Yeah.
that is given exhaust, the maintenance should be there.
Yeah, but
we
if I
thought-
give you money today to start a business, I would want to
Yeah.
find out, because I put my mouth into whatever
Yeah,
that's
put
happening.
your money
I want
into it.
to find out the impact that is going to register, and that comes with then monitoring to be
Uh,
able to know
yeah.
what areas to intervene in.
I think for a lot of these, what you need is the person who is the funder. What they should build in is the kind of sustainability of it. What is the sustainability
Exactly.
of it? And in the case of what we're talking about the maintenance culture, which is absent here. Let's not
Yeah.
even pretend. I mean, today, if people watch the news at 8 o'clock, they'll see a story where we've gone back to Bakau Market.
Yeah.
Because when we've been going around, we've been appalled at the state of some of the markets where we buy our food.
Right.
But when we went there last year, twice, we were really impressed. And so we thought, okay, let's see a year on. I won't spoil it. Watch
Yeah,
8
don't
o'clock.
give them a spoiler.
Watch 8 o'clock news.
Watch the 8 o'clock.
Because we were
So
really
they were the cleanest market for two consecutive years.
of the ones that we visited.
Bravo, Bakau, keep it
Yeah,
up.
Bakau
That's
Market.
what we
Okay,
like
but
to
let's
see.
see what's gonna happen at 8 o'clock.
Watch 8
I'm
o'clock.
looking forward.
Even though the fact that for 2 years they were
Yeah,
able
that-
to hold
that's
the mantra,
massive.
that in itself is an achievement.
Yeah.
We hope
I
they
mean,
maintain it.
without spoiling it, if people watch, they will realize why they
Okay.
have kept those. It's not by accident.
Okay.
The market managers, the vendors, they've all bought
Organization,
into
yeah.
the idea
Okay.
of, yeah.
It's all about
So
organization.
it's good to report some of these model
Exactly.
things as well,
And
so that
that's-
people
really,
can
yeah, I
replicate
think
it.
it's really
So Brikama, my people, watch out and make sure that your market is
Brikama,
up
yeah.
to date.
Yeah.
Brikama, Coastal Road Market,
Brixton,
don't
yeah.
even go there.
Yeah,
Don't even go there.
But anyway, with
really?
the coming of the new chairperson, like you said, it's our role to also monitor,
Yeah,
to
listen.
check if he's going by his campaign promises
Listen,
of waste
listen.
management.
Like we said, when you're in opposition and you want to win, all you have to move is your mouth. When you get there,
Then you
can
know
you
what's
deliver?
up, right?
Then we will hold you
That's
to
the
account.
question.
Yeah. You know.
Well, let's see. He's
Yeah.
young and everything, so let's see what he has on the table.
Yeah.
We'll keep on that. But during the inauguration of the new police stations, President Barrow also admitted that there's a lack of training facilities for security institutions. You know, proper training facilities they can
I mean,
go to build their
in terms of
capacities.
facilities, yes. But what we've had in the past year or 3 is that we've had lots of partnerships
Yeah.
with the Turkish government, with the Chinese, with others who have come and have trained, or they've taken our people. We've had officers go to Turkey,
Yeah.
learn. They've even had to learn Turkish. And you know, Turkey has a very good, you know, sort of security apparatus. So yes, I think these things will come in time.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it's kind of bit by bit. You know,
They have to build a good police academy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where, you know, they will develop the, you know, skill base. You know, with most of the institutions now in this day and age, especially the army and so, they train with skills. They have vocational skills.
Yeah.
And rather than just being there, I'm not talking about the police in this instance, rather than being in the army camps, barracks, they should be able to go and build bridges, make roads, maintenance, and all these things. I don't know. They should really, in their security reform, inbuild that. I hope that is also there in terms of equipping them with skills, so that they can be seen to be part of the process of national development, building roads and bridges and doing a lot of things.
And you know, in other countries, you ask somebody, I'm in the army, but I'm a lawyer. Like, you know, that kind of thing. You know, like side by side, whereby you have the side, a profession that's different. It just adds.
You do have medical doctors, you do have lawyers.
That's what I mean.
It's the core that really needs this skill.
That
of the upper echelon are usually highly educated and qualified in
but I mean like the normal officers here and there. Like I know people. So that just adds to the sense of professionalism and all of that, because obviously if you go through that process of education, you're not expected to probably violate human rights, you know, things like that.
Well, that's the theory.
That's the theory, and it's happening in other countries.
It's happening in other countries.
Yes,
but
not
I mean,
in Gambia.
I mean, I've heard people in America say one of the reasons why I joined the army was because I knew I would get a good education, as well as being trained militarily. I would get a good education in the army. So we can do something similar.
Well, it's the opposite here, whereby when you finish grade 12 in the Gambia, you know, they're just certain jobs put there where it's the last, some sort of last resort. Either you're told to go and be a teacher, or you're told to go into the police.
A teacher?
Yes, when teachers are the very, very important people that actually educate all of us. So for me, teaching should not be a last resort. I was just watching a video recent, and I saw a little girl saying, "Oh, I want to be a teacher." So I was like, this is not normal. Like growing up and you say
most
you want to
children
be,
usually when you ask them, they want to be teachers.
Not necessarily, but this is like not a little girl. This is somebody at the age where I was. I could also make decisions for myself at the time. I knew what I wanted at that age that she was. So that's not the usual here. I don't hear that.
Interestingly, I was watching a video yesterday, not out of vanity, but somebody had sent me to a website, and I realized there was a video of myself. I was giving a talk.
Okay.
And so I thought, oh, let me watch this. And actually, I was actually saying in that video
you want to be a teacher?
that I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
Because I said that when I was growing up, I was the only one in my class.
Exactly.
Who wanted, the only one. I was the only one who wanted to
but
be a teacher.
did you teach at any point in your life?
I did, but not officially, because what happened was when the war happened in Sierra Leone and children came to London, and I found how badly they were doing in the schools, because the education system in Sierra Leone was so bad. I started giving lessons in my house for about a couple of years.
But then you did it anyway. Let's just put it like that. But it's not an option in our societies with growing up with parents. The moment you mention that, then they question you.
Yeah, and when I was at uni, my lecturer would say, "I'm going on holiday for 3 weeks. Ade will be your lecturer."
Okay, good.
So the first time it happened, I was like, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I've spoken to the school, to the college authorities, and they've agreed. I'm like,
okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Tucker, for joining us on the program. So talking about capacity building and everything, we're about to talk about the scholarships that are given to Gambians to study in Malawi. So we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Dr. Yusufa Toure, who's the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, and Karamo S. Bojang, Chairman, Scholarship Advisory Board. My very own principal back in high school. Ooh. Yes, so
a lot of good
so looking
catching
forward
up to
this.
So
yes, we'll be right back.
Behave yourself.
Yes, I should, right?
Correct.
Technology has always been at the forefront of our lives. and the way we use it has evolved drastically over the years. With the advent of 5G internet, we are entering a new era of technological innovation that promises to transform the way we live, work, and play. 5G internet is capable of providing data speeds up to 100 times faster than 4G, making it the ideal solution for streaming high-quality videos, playing online games, and downloading large files on the go. 5G internet is already transforming cities across the globe, powering smart cities, self-driving cars, and virtual reality experiences that were once thought impossible. 5G internet is also paving the way for Internet of Things, allowing for seamless connectivity between devices and the creation of a truly connected world. For the first time in the Gambia, QCell is bringing tomorrow's technology to you today with the launch of QCell 5G Internet. Get ready to experience the out-of-this-world wonders of QCell's 5G Internet. For more information, call 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyapus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
QCell brings you the future with our ultimate bundles. Enjoy the best voice and data bundle plans in one package. Get unlimited data packages with flexible validity and enjoy what true internet feels like. Get 30 minutes of on-net and off-net calls with 5 gigabytes of data for just $350. Or get bigger bundle packages from 10 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes with over 100 on-net and off-net voice calls and enjoy the fastest internet speed in the Gambia. You can also buy 1-day, 3-day or even 7-day packages and enjoy unlimited data bundles with uncapped speeds. Just dial *343# today and experience the limitless capabilities of the QCell network. *343# should be your favorite code to dial now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And Mr. Ade, we're shifting our attention to scholarship packages that have been awarded to Gambians to study in Malawi. And we're joined by Dr. Yusufa Toure, who's the Permanent Secretary at MOHAS, and Karamo S. Bojang, Chairman, Scholarship Advisory Board. You want to welcome them?
Well, gentlemen, welcome to the program. If you ever watch QTV, you'll know that education is probably my favorite
topic.
So, welcome, and really excited by this. And if I could start with you, Mr. Bojang, these scholarships, 10, how were the 10 chosen to benefit from these scholarships?
Good morning, viewers. I am Mr. Karamo S. Bojang. I'm the chairman, as you said, of the Gambia Scholarship Advisory Board. It's a very difficult work. We have nearly 100 students, candidates, and then the criteria was very strong.
Right.
We processed them, and then we look at their credentials. We meet as a subgroup to shortlist the candidates. Of course, putting gender issues also as part of the arrangements.
I did wonder about that.
We set the criteria, and then we selected about 30 or 25, I can't remember the number. Those are highly qualified. Then we send them for interview, and then when we interviewed them, then the selection was done.
Okay.
So that's how the process goes.
So Dr. Toure, before I hand over to Geneva, how did it come about that we made this arrangement that Malawi was the place? A very lovely country, by the way.
Thank you very much. Good morning to viewers out there, and this is a pleasure. Malawi happened to be a participating country in the Africa Higher Education Centers of Excellence. We have two groups, one in Eastern Southern Africa and the other in Western Central Africa. these are centers who have gone through a rigorous selection process, and they've been identified by the World Bank and the AAU, Association of African Universities, that they have excelled among their peers in what they are offering. So this particular center of excellence is on fisheries and aquaculture. You know, so the minister's pronouncement earlier on to establish a fisheries center on the coastal region. You know, so we felt we do not have the experts here. Even before we start the building of the center, why not start training? In 2 years' time, they will be ready. They would come back, you know, and do that. So through our partners in the bank, they, you know, identified a number of centers, you know, for this particular program. So we ended up discussing with the Malawi authorities, and you know, so that's how it came.
That's how Jennifer?
Yeah. So what is the ratio of men to women, and also how willing were women to take on this? Because obviously fisheries and aquaculture, you know, just aquaculture in general is not an area that people are quite familiar with. So I just, because he did talk about the fact that there was a gender criteria.
Yes.
Or gender consideration.
Gender consideration.
I think it's better I answer that question.
Okay, please. Yes.
Now, you see what actually happened, we have a general criteria. When we set a general criteria, and then we look at that is for everybody. Whether the gender is not considered in that area. We set the general criteria. Of course, the number of people we are going to have will exceed the number of
places.
So our criteria is about 40% of the candidates must be female candidates. So in fact, we normally start with them and check how many of the, if we say, for example, there are 10 scholarships, we have to select the first 4 best candidates for the women. So we start with them, and then when we select, then we go to the rest. This is how most of the scholarships are considered, because that is the policy of the ministry, at least 40% of the candidates, except if we don't have, because sometimes we don't have. We don't have, you know, enough female candidates. So in this case, that's what happened. You know, so we have the number of candidates, and then we look at the female sector, and then we selected the best among them. Then the rest follows.
So Dr. Ture, are we looking forward to like seeing, actually I'm looking forward to, but should we look forward to then seeing more of technical areas, awarding scholarships in technical areas, you know?
Yes, obviously, with the transformation of GTTI into a technical university,
you said,
and establishing technical centers across the regions, because the idea is in every region we should have at least a center of excellence in Tibet. You know, like these people that are undergoing training now are going to service those centers. You know, so we have more centers coming up. You know, we have also the agribusiness center that is going to be in Sapo, and there would be this multipurpose center in around Wasu, and we already have one in Demban that is starting this month, and there is one in Kanilai that has been in the offing for so long, and when, you know, we came up, we said, okay, let's get it rolling. And this is a place where we would start with the madrasa, you know, graduates from the grade 12 madrasa. We see how we can give them at least 1 year intensive, you know, language training and pre-vocational, you know, programs before they get into the TVET proper. You know, but again, also, yes, you will see more of these technical programs coming, because that's the direction. Education, we have to have a paradigm shift. You know, we've been doing a lot of general education in the past, and most of the graduates, you know, struggle getting jobs here and there. But if it is technical, and we are embedding entrepreneurship in their curricula, you know, with that, they don't have to wait for government or any private sector to appoint them. They have to, you know, create jobs for themselves. And
but and again, a follow-up question on that. He talked about the fact that the persons going to Malawi or any other place that have these technical skills are the ones coming back to run the centers that you're talking about. Hopefully. So how, I'm glad you said hopefully, because that's the question. Like, what is the mechanism to ensure that when these people, is there a bond or something to ensure that when they come back, they will go into these centers, and that it's not going to be a case of you've gone for studies and then later divert, go to another country.
Once you've answered, I will chip in as well, but please, either of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me help the PS here, because you know, when the scholarship is awarded, we tell the candidates exactly what we expect from them.
Expectations are.
First of all, we tell them that this is a Gambia government scholarship. Now you have to bond it. You have to agree on a bond. Then when you come, you are going to serve twice the number of years of study. Meaning that if you are going to study for 2 years, you have to work for government for at least 4 years. Now, that is on the level of PMO. The level of the ministry itself, we are also bonded to agree that we are going to serve the government. So at least we have 2 bonds that you sign. The problem is how it's implemented.
That's my question. How are these bonds implemented? Because normally you talk to people and they'll be like, "Ahli bond rekla." That's the value.
You know, the problem is we have just to do it because government may not have the capacity to be able to absorb everybody. So that is the thing. If government had the capacity to absorb everybody, it will be implemented. But they bond you, they don't have the capacity to absorb you. So if you don't work for them, well, they don't go after you.
They don't.
They don't.
But in this area, government needs them because it's a technical area.
Yes. Actually, some of those people bonded are already engaged with government. Like you want to train medical personnel who are already in the employment. You want them to come back and stay. You know, with their departments. They don't have to come and just go anywhere. So there would be need for bonding. You have some very expensive and relevant programs, for instance, in the University of the Gambia, like medicine and the allied health sciences. You know, when you train people for this, you want them to stay and serve. I must say I'm not a very good fan of bonding myself because I think it's a situation where you allow somebody to gather all the experience and then you telling the person, now it's time for you to go. And he goes with that experience. So there would be some paradigm shift around that. How do we motivate them? How do we keep them on the job?
Exactly.
You know, so I think this is one thing we are looking at and we would want to explore those areas. They must feel the job. They must get that feeling. They must, you know, be in love with the job they are doing. And how do we do that? You know, so those are areas we are definitely looking at.
I mean, you've kind of touched on it, but the whole thing about bonding is that we are human beings. And so even if you say, I'm bonded because you are the one who facilitated my scholarship, I may come back and decide, actually, I don't want to work in this field at all.
Because you change your mind.
I've changed my mind. Human beings do that. But also, I worked in a situation in the UK where, as part of the training, you got to do the ACCA exams, and you were bonded for 2 years. Some people came, they worked for a year, and an accountancy firm offered them 4 times what we were paying them, and they left. We never sued any of them, because we didn't feel it was worth spending money chasing them in court and say, you know, you've broken your bond. So all these things can happen because you know, people, you know, circumstances change and people change their minds.
But I'm happy
so it's a very difficult one.
But what PS said, that they're taking now a shift to motivate, to give you the need for you to stay rather than kind of force. So I think we just have 5 minutes to go, Mr. Adi. Do you have any other questions?
Well, I mean, my big question is that you've kind of touched on it before, and if a lot of people look at it, we saw the numbers who applied. We've gone for 10, and I've assumed that the reason we've gone for 10 is because if they come back, we have to be able to fit them in. If we sent 20 or 30 and they went and came back, we wouldn't be able to actually accommodate them. And so I was just wondering whether we are looking at other fields or even other countries outside of, you know, African Centers of Excellence that might be offering opportunities, because on the other hand, 10 is not a lot for the paradigm shift that we want to see in the Gambia, where we want people to come in and make a difference. So we're not bringing in experts from abroad. We're actually using our own people. So are we looking at other countries, America, the EU, as a bloc to offer scholarships for these sorts of things?
Yeah, that's a good one. As we speak, we have about 15 more going to Turkey.
Right.
And we are, reactivating that because we've been sending students to Turkey, but for this particular one, it is going to be tailored.
Okay, right.
On agribusiness and aquaculture as well.
Cool.
You have also engineering in Turkey.
Yeah.
We just came from Malaysia. We got another 10. From that place, and this is in the applied sciences.
Okay.
But we want to look at the chemistry, the physics in the university, and see how we build their capacity around that. Yes, and in Nigeria we have close to 38. In the masters and PhDs. So anybody who can get access to any of the centers in Nigeria, you have free scholarship. So all those opportunities are there. So we have a lot of scholarships, but like I said, we must measure our development. We must do it in such a way that you have this capacity gap here, and we focus training on that, so that when they come back, they go right into that and do the needful. As it operated in the past, anybody goes for training, comes back, and.
I think the secret is that if we train them and we think we can't accommodate them in government, we encourage them to become entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
Using those skills,
so
that they're not dependent on I'm waiting for a government job, it's not there, what do I do? No, I've got these skills, I can open my own business.
I think some of us in the arts might want to shift to the sciences now to have opportunities.
No, but even
I might want to shift my attention to the sciences.
So many
even in the arts, entrepreneurship can do.
I might have to shift and go into and rush to the sciences now.
Yes, because we have this center in the USET. That is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Hub. It's coming up very well because it's managed by Demon-Ford University in Leicester, UK. And very soon they would hand this over. And we have a Fulbright who was here some time ago. He was working on this. And we are getting some, TAs that would be, assigned to this. So here you have students in the classroom, they form groups, they go into this center, they transform their curriculum, their principles, into business ideas. So by the time they get out of that university, they should be able to have business concepts. Some should be able to start their own startups. So it's a form of incubation that would lead people to the labor market, and we guide them until they are fully established in the labor market. Then we graduate them.
Great.
So that's the idea around that. So this could relate to arts.
It could relate to I might have to jump onto that.
But generally, also, I have a different view with training. For example, when we visit Ghana. We discovered that, teaching is an industry. Professional teachers, they export teachers. So you don't have to have the place to teach them. You don't have to have a vacancy. You only have to educate people, and then they will actually think for themselves. So the other part that is you are talking about, I remember when we did the interview for GPNC, I don't know, the petrol. Yes. The minister said, well, no bonding, because they are just training people. They work anywhere they like. So we did not bond them. Thank you.
So, but final question, Mr. Bojang. I think this is an opportunity, as an educationist for the longest time ever. How do you see, the difference in terms of how people are educating themselves now and before?
Well, because of the event of the internet, I think people are actually helping themselves more, but it has a negative attitude because people do not want to go and read books. They don't want to go back to textbooks. They only depend on what is on the net, and not necessarily is correct.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to jump in with that, but I'm glad you said it.
Correct. And that has actually caused a lot of trouble for our Gambian youth, because you see, once they will think that these are the correct questions, and when they go, they fail woefully. So people, it has an it has a do and whatever, but I mean, people have the opportunity, but the opportunity they have to be very careful how you use it.
Okay. Yeah, I know if you say textbooks and books, Mr. Ade will be like, yes, let's take a look at that. But final question to Dr. Toure. Recently, I saw on the papers that the University of the Gambia and the ministry, have this back and forth when it comes to the payment of fees, and that certain students couldn't receive their certificates. They were held back by the UTG because of payment delays and all. Are these things fixed? Are these still in existence?
No, it's fixed. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, because this is like, we have this contract with the university. We sponsor people, they go in their land, and when they finish, they get certificated. And on a regular basis, we pay this money, as we receive money from finance. So nobody should bring the students into this. It's between them. That's the university and the ministry, and we should keep it, that way. We wrote to them to keep it that way, and they're honoring that.
Okay, so certificates have been given.
They would definitely get their certificates as long as you are under the ministry sponsorship. Your certificate must be given. If they have any issues, they have to address that with the ministry and not the students.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you.
I'm afraid that is all we have time for. But I'm just informed that Mr. Bojang was Mr. Cole's teacher.
Is that right?
Yes, I'm just informed right now.
Kebako. and he was your principal.
And he was my principal too. So I'm like, Mr. Cole, I don't know if you remember him, but he just informed us.
Yeah, when I came, I started teaching when I started 17 years.
Yes.
Yeah, 17 years. Very, very young.
Yeah.
And then my first posting was in Latrikunda. In fact, the people I'm teaching, we are almost of the same age.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
look at that.
I can remember.
Yes.
That
wow.
That's really beautiful.
It's good that to see him like this now.
He's out
He's
there.
all that.
He's
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you so much for the work that you've done in the Gambia as well.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. You can't, go into any gathering without somebody saying, oh, this was my principal or this was my teacher.
And just the work that you're doing currently
Yes.
with the board in terms of the Scholarship Advisory Board. I think we have to be, extend our gratitude to you and all the board members that, the Gambia needs this, and we're glad to see that it's being implemented. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad he didn't reveal any of the troubles that I've done back in high school.
We'll
But
do
I was a good student.
separate program.
Yes, a separate program on my troubles and everything. But thank you so much.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
so we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the inauguration of the Nurses and Midwives Council. We'll be right back.
Step into the Espas Motors showroom for your luxurious name brand vehicle. Located along the Bertil Harding Highway, Espas Motors is the Gambia's authorized dealer for Chery, Kia, Ford, and now we bring you the new Peugeot Model 3008 SUV. 18-inch alloy wheels, 216 inches high ground clearance, keyless entry system, start and stop button, rear parking assistance system with reverse camera, adaptive cruise control with speed limit, LED daytime running lights, front and side airbags, 8-inch HD touchscreen. Not to forget our exquisite Peugeot Landtrek double cabin pickup with 2.1-liter diesel engine, 6-speed manual transmission 4x4, hill descent control, LED daytime running lights. Espas Motors, the authorized dealer for Peugeot. Visit us today or call us on 35-2222 or 353-4444.
Do your banking the smart way with the new Ajibank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. requests for checkbooks, and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Ajibank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Ajibank, your investment partner. You asked for it, and QCell is giving it to you with our new and improved Sunyu Bundle Mega Promo. Now you can get more data at cheaper prices. Buy any of our bundle packages and enjoy massive discounts. Dial *303# and enjoy browsing on the network with the biggest coverage. Buy a 20 megabytes data bundle for as low as $7 and 50 bottles today, or purchase bigger bundles up to 20 gigabytes. Yes, that's right, 20 gigabytes of data at your fingertips. With our mega promo bundles, you can browse more, chat longer, and stay connected on the go, anytime, anywhere. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ade Drami. So, Mr. Ade, now we are shifting our attention to the inauguration of the Nurses and Midwives Council, and we're joined by Lamin Sawane, who's the board chairperson of Nurses and Midwives Council, and Mafuji Bojang, Registrar Nurses and Midwives Council. So, gentlemen, welcome to the program. Yes. So.
Yeah, I mean, we did a story on this on QTV.
Yeah.
And I said to them, "Oh, why is it only being inaugurated now?" So I wondered if you could take us through. Either of you could jump in with that, please.
Yeah. Maybe the chairman.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much for having us. My name is Lamin Suare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
We actually have a different surname, but we apologize.
Apologize for that.
Yes.
All right. The board, the council has been there all the while, and the term is supposed to be every 3 years.
Right.
So, and after that, a new the group would be brought in,
Sure.
depending on, and of course it would also, if some are re-elected, then they can also serve in the new term, in the new council, sorry.
Sure.
So that's what happened. So over time, we had the previous council, for which I am the chair.
Right.
And we are waiting for this opportunity for the inauguration to be done, because elections are being conducted.
Okay.
And after the elections, the newly elected and the nominated cannot take over unless and until they are being inaugurated by the honorable minister.
Right.
So and we are waiting for that.
Okay.
So that was what caused the delay.
Okay.
So what, why a council?
And what does it do?
Yeah, what does it do? When I hear a council, it's like so big. So I'm like, what do you regulate?
So can we go to the registrar?
Yes.
Please.
Thank you very
Boja.
much. My name is Mafuji Bojang. I am the registrar of the Nurses and Midwives Council, and we are happy to be here on behalf of the entire council.
Right.
And when you say council, this is the regulatory body for the nursing and midwifery profession.
Right.
And under Ministry of Health, you have 4 of this kind.
Right.
You have the Medical and Dental Council for the medical doctors. You also have the Pharmacy Council. You have the Nurse and Midwives Council. And of last year, you also have the Public and Environmental Health Council.
Okay.
So all these 4 councils are there to regulate the professions. And the main task of the councils is to be there for the general public.
Okay. So how is this regulation done? What are the specific areas that you focus on?
Okay. When you look at council, regulation will fall under the general functions of council. And the functions of the council, among other things, first is to advise the Honorable Minister of Health on all matters related to nursing and midwifery in the country, and also to set out standards for training and practice by the professionals, and also to check out on health training institutions that are training the professionals, and also to give license to all trained professionals that have fulfilled their institutional requirements during their training for licensing. And once you license them, you have to continue monitoring what they are doing. And annually, you must also provide a list of registered professionals that are currently practicing with valid license. And among the functions of the council, especially with regulation, you also have what we call checking on receiving complaints from the general public as and when necessary, and also you do the disciplinary procedures. It doesn't necessarily mean that all complaints that come would find people faulty. You have to do the necessary follow-ups, the investigations, then you do the needful according to what you find out.
Yeah, so I'm happy you talked about regulation, because this is just going to shift my attention to the issue of when the acute kidney injury happened. A lot of people were questioning the existence of certain pharmacy outlets, and then pointing at the fact that, you know, sometimes when nurses are eligible to have the license to open a pharmacy, the issue of, you know, selling conflict of interest, maybe renting it, that's how they call it. I rented a lysine. That's how businessmen and women call it. So I don't know if you talked about standards and regulations, and obviously it comes with ethics as well. So the council, what is your responsibility in relation to that, if it exists?
Thank you very much. I think the question you've asked is a valid question, and like I said, when you look at it generally, each of these councils have their main responsibilities, and the issuance of pharmacy license is usually by the pharmacy council. As a council on nursing and midwifery, we are fully aware of nurses having license to operate drugstores, but these are nurses that have fulfilled the minimum requirement that the pharmacy council will deem it necessary to issue them the license. So every nurse that you see that is licensed by the pharmacy council has fulfilled the minimum requirement for the pharmacy council to be issued the license.
Yeah, but I'm talking about after, because you said the moment they're issued, then there's a follow-up. You said there like rules to it. So what is the stance of the council in relation to that conflict that we are talking about of the license rental and all?
Okay. I may not be able to dwell more on the issue of the license rental per se, because that will be more on the side of the pharmacy council. But what I can say for certain about the nurses is, if you look at it generally, nearly most of our health facilities are manned by nurses. And when you talk about health facilities, it goes with drugs. And when you talk about drugs, these drugs must be in place, in a store called the pharmacy, and these drugs must be taken out from those stores and then issued out to patients. So anyone that has been working in the system for a while, because if my memory can serve me well, I think for a nurse to be given the pharmacy license, first you must be an RN, that is a registered nurse. And in addition to being an RN, you need to have minimum of 15 years of working experience. And this 15 years of working experience, I think for the pharmacy council, you must graduate. My chairman is here, he can correct me if I'm wrong. You must graduate nothing less than 2001, because he was head School of Nursing and Midwifery. So you look at, those are set criteria by the pharmacy council to ensure that anyone who is going to be given the drugstore license meet their minimum requirement. So the issue of renting out license, I know for the nurses license, as an individual, you are issued the license for you to practice.
That's my point.
Yes. You as an individual, that license is for you, issued to you, for you to practice your profession as a nurse or midwife or any other related specialty.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to know the stance, and now I know.
So, Chairman, if I can bring you back into the conversation. In terms of membership, we've seen that there are 4 component councils that make up What's the size of the membership that we're talking about? And then secondly, in terms of elections, how are those conducted? So if first with the membership in terms of size, if you could tell us.
Well, for membership of the council itself.
Of all these, we added, you've got the public and environmental health, you've got the nurses and midwives one, you've got the dental.
No, those ones they are separate because they are separate councils.
Right. Okay.
And they operate differently.
Okay. So for the nurses and midwives, what are we talking about in terms of numbers?
In terms of numbers, because what we have is that all the regions, health regions in the country, need to be represented.
Sure.
The health training institutions are also represented.
Right. Okay.
And then the Honorable Minister would also have to nominate 2 people from the public who are not nurses to be part of the council. Plus a legal advisor, from the also as member of council. So that's the general composition, plus the registrar and the deputy registrar.
Right.
So that's the general composition for the council.
Okay.
23.
23.
Yeah.
Because we have 7 health regions in the country,
Yeah.
and each of these health regions would elect 2 nurses, and that will make it 14.
Yeah.
And you also have the National Association of Gambian Nurses and Midwives, who also have 2 spaces, that makes it 16. And you also have the health training institutions, represented by 1 person.
Right.
You also have the Director of Nursing and Midwifery Service, who is an automatic member. You also have the Council Secretariat, you have the Registrar and Deputy Registrar, and you also have the legal advisor, usually by the Minister of Health, Minister of Justice, who is given to the Minister of Health. And the public, like the chairman has rightly said, have 2 representatives.
Sure.
Amazing. So the voting, is it a general elections that all nurses participate in?
Yes, it is for the regional one. Yes, it is a general election.
Oh, nice.
And also even for the training institutions, because they would come together as a region, and then those that want to vie, for positions, would then present themselves, and votes are cast.
Nice. So there's a manifesto and all. Oh, nice. So I would like to witness one.
So I don't know how much time we have, but so you have the Nurses and Midwives Council, and then occasionally we hear of nurses and doctors threatening to go on strike.
Right.
They have their unions that represent them. When they're making those considerations or decisions, how much involvement is there from the Nurses and Midwives Council in terms of consultation and so on? Registrar.
Yes, Registrar.
Thank you. I think you have asked a very important question, and I'm happy that you did mention about the association, because generally this is a confusion by most people not knowing the differences between the work of the council and the work of the association. The councils are on regulation. The associations are the socio-economic welfare arm of the profession.
That's right.
And we have clear, distinct responsibilities. But as professionals and as people on regulation, the associations, when they are about to go on strike, or if you are aware of them about to go on strike, usually we are in the picture. Because like I said, the association have 2 representatives. And usually you will have the president and the secretary general as members of council.
Okay.
So anytime they have issues, especially for the last 2, excuse me, for the last 2 executives, the current one and the ones they replaced, honestly, they have been working very closely with council, and they do a lot of consultation with council. And as usual, we will always be from the protection of the public side to inform them that, yes, you would have the right to do A, B, or C, but since we are professionals, we also have to look at the public interest and then the implication of what we want to do on the general public. So by and large, generally, we have those discussions with them, and then we will give our pieces of advice that we can give. And honestly, not all that they would want to do as part of their strike actions. Some of them, they will have to go back, rethink, and then that will at least reduce some of the things they want to do. Yeah. We have always been given that advisory role to them.
So this is like a follow-up question from what Mr. Ade asked. You talk, you then look at the interest of the public and advise the nurses accordingly. You also talked about the fact that you advise the minister when it comes to issues of nurses and midwives. So, what role do you also play there on the path of government when these sit-down strikes happen in relation to their demands? For example, salaries, and does the council have, that mandate to also advise, the minister as to incentives? We were talking about this, I don't know. Because then you talk to the nurses, but do you tell government as well? It's a two-way thing.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very important question. And honestly, when these things happen, usually the chairman and the NMC secretariat will be receiving calls here and there, and this is usually from government.
Right.
And I remember in one of the planned strike actions, we have to go to the office of the Secretary General, and then we have discussions there. And what we have to do is to look at it from both ends, because we want to have a win-win situation.
Right.
You would not want to have a situation where government will take certain actions against the nurses and the public will suffer.
Exactly.
Because generally, if you look at it, across the country, the bulk of the trained manpower are nurses. So if you want to take certain drastic actions, you have to look at the implications of those ones on the general public. And that is why in situations like this, you also have to talk to those in authority so that they will understand as to what we need to do to correct the current situation that we have. But if you are aggressive here, I am aggressive here, the issue now is going to be the innocent public will suffer. And this is what we try to avoid.
Yeah. So I guess time is up now, Mr. Ade. But thank you so much to the Nurses and Midwives Council for joining us and educating us about the work that you do.
Sure.
And I'm afraid that is all we have time for, Mr. Ade.
Well, just to say thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And a pleasure.
Yeah, but I forgot to ask one question.
Have you got time?
Yeah, not time. Okay, just how many women maybe? What's the gender ratio in the council? Do you encourage women to take up roles? Just quickly.
Okay. Thank you. When it comes in terms of election, the regions decide who they send to us.
Okay.
So that depends on the regions. If they decide to elect women.
But are they coming up? Are they
yes, women are coming up. In the current council, we have women.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, either 3 chairman. Yes, we have 3.
Okay.
And even in the last council, we have women too.
Okay,
so you are also part of the council.
Okay, fine. I just wanted to know. So yes, so that is all we have time for till we come your way tomorrow. Make sure to join Julden Jai, and I'm aware that the VJ will be here. The man himself, and Mr. Ade will be here tomorrow. He might be back. Yeah. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow to join them. So see you on Monday. Bye for now.